Let's take a look at Gavin Thompson, aka Alpha Frog on Magic Online. Huge Magic Online player here. Said he would probably faint from all the endorphins if he made it to the World Championship. Gruul Adventures, the deck of choice for Gavin Thompson this weekend. Against Louis Samuel Deltour running Dimir Rogues in the tournament this weekend. He's a mainstay of the French Magic community, 6 Grand Prix top 8s. Said it would be an absolute dream to make it to the World Championship. So those are 2 players going head-to-head here in the upper semis. Let's take a look at their deck lists. Adventures is first up in the hands of Gavin Thompson. What do you make of this deck in this matchup?
Maria, this is Gavin's go-to deck. We saw him piloted at the Challenger Gauntlet, so he was fantastic with it. I know a lot of us were impressed watching him play, and this is pretty stock Gruul. There's no blue splash like we saw in the MPL Gauntlet yesterday. He is just going straight forward aggression, and one of the big cards that is definitely going to play a role in this matchup, well, there's a singleton copy of Ox of Agonis in the main deck. Fortunately for Gavin, yes, he did just overcome a matchup he said he was terrified in Shintaro Ishimura's Rogue deck. But the main reason for that was the 4 copies of Vantress Gargoyle Ishimura brought. Gavin doesn't have to worry about that from Louis Samuel Deltour, so he's feeling pretty good right now.
Do you think if Gavin Thompson gets to the World Championship, he'll put the frog onesie on for us again?
I feel like it would be a crime for him not to put the frog onesie on for us again.
Thank you, Monty. Thank you. All right, let's take a look at the other side of the matchup here. Dimir Rogues in the hands of Louis Samuel Deltour. What does this deck got to do?
Well, Rogues is the aggro control deck of the standard format. It has been so dominant throughout this time, and we've seen players that are able to pilot the deck well get thoroughly rewarded. As recently as yesterday, when Jean-Emmanuel Deprat on this 75 qualified for the World Championship. Him and Louis tested together for this event. So Louis Samuel Deltour definitely motivated to try to win this match and join his teammate at the World Championships. Unfortunately for him, Rogues is not very good against Gruul Adventure, and certainly not this build of Gruul that Gavin Thompson has brought.
All right, well, it should be an exciting one. Gavin Thompson versus Louis Samuel Deltour. Let's head on down to the feature match area for this next match in our upper semis.
Thank you, Maria. Upper semifinal coming up next. And welcome back to coverage here of our Rivals Top 8 Gauntlet. Marshall Sutcliffe with Cedric Phillips. And we've got an upper semifinal match for you here. Gavin Thompson versus Louis Samuel Deltour. As they sit down, we see 2 mainstays of Standard over the past year or so. We have Gruul Adventures in the hands of Gavin. And on the other side, in the hands of Louis Samuel, he's got Rogues. Which one would you prefer to be playing in this particular matchup here, Ced?
Ah, boy, you're going to ask me the tough one right off the jump, huh?
I'm just going to throw you right into the deep end of the pool here.
Well, that's where I can get a little comfortable. I think I lean Gruul. It's close, but I do think I lean Gruul here just a little bit. So not because of my aggressive nature, but I just for whatever reason I'm just kind of into Gruul in this matchup. But I do think it's going to be extremely close.
Okay, we see a pair of lands here for Louis Samuel. He's got a Ruin Crab in hand, decided not to cast it this time. And he's just going to leave back the Wind Robber. He has left up mana for Disdainful Stroke here, and anticipating a token or a treasure being made off of Magda. Wow, look at this heads-up play here, too, from Louis Samuel. He blocks the 1/1 to prevent this Lovestruck Beast from being able to attack.
Yeah, but what he doesn't know are the 2 Lovestruck Beasts in the holster.
Real bad news incoming there for Louis Samuel Deltour.
Yeah.
Here comes his Ruin Crab plus land, so he'll get the Mill Train rolling, but he's going to be dead long before that becomes relevant, at least as a win condition. And we're going to have to see how things progress, because there's another Lovestruck Beast hitting the Adventure Zone after the 1/1 gets made.
A lot of Lovestruck Beasts this time around. This card It varies from how good it can be in the matchup. Sometimes it's an A plus. Sometimes it can be quite bad because the 1/1s can be pretty easy to contain. But we're seeing right now here for Gavin Thompson that he has drawn no shortage of 1/1s to be able to manage these.
Yeah, the triple Lovestruck Beast draw here from Gavin might be too much for Louis Samuel. We'll see if he can pick these things off individually. But wow, right? I mean, he's got what, 5, 10, 12, 14 power on the battlefield already? It's turn 4. Okay, well, we see what Louis Samuel's game plan is.
Yes,
he's
we do.
He's going to try to strand him. And if he can do it, he will shut down not 1, not 2, but all 3 of these Lovestruck Beasts. And he does have an answer. He has Heartless Act to kill the other 1/1 there.
All right. I mean, look, this is going to kind of work. I mean, it looks a little bit strange, but you kill all of the little ones. That means the big ones can't attack until you actually peel off your Edgewall Innkeeper and I guess the 4th copy of Lovestruck Beast or some other way to make a 1/1. So Magda's going to come in, treasure token, yes, damage through, no. And hey, whatever it takes at a time like this.
Wow. This is a very aggressive way. I mean, remember, he had a Merfolk Wing Robber that he could have traded off for Magda, decided to trade it off for a 1/1. Now he's used Power Word Kill and Heartless Act on 1/1s. And it's worked. So far, it has actually worked. Gavin's going to play Bone Crusher Giant here. That one's guaranteed to be able to attack next turn. A replacement Ruin Crab in hands here for Louis Samuel. But boy, this has not gone well for him.
No, it has not. And we're actually going to see the Rune Crab not be played. They're going to leave up Disdainful Stroke in case something like an Ember Cleave does show up. So doesn't know that Gavin Thompson doesn't have anything really going on in hand. So it's just going to take 6 on the chin, fall down to 6, and is facing lethal next turn. But we could have a good Luris turn coming up here in just a moment.
And he's going to need one, no doubt about it, because there's another Lovestruck Beast. Now, all 3 of them, 15 power, are locked up at home, crying into its pillow. But if a 1/1 shows up, it's going to be an avalanche of damage coming across here. And even as it stands, he's facing lethal. Ooh, Drowning a Lock.
I can't imagine. I guess I'll say this. I can't imagine that was a bad draw.
Dude, this could get really good now. There's a Merfolk Wind Robber that can come back, plus the island in hand means that Disdainful Stroke or Drowning the Lock is also very real.
You've kind of got the whole Bone Crusher Giant thing taken care of with Chump Block with Merfolk Wind Robber plus draw a card. And,
there's the Innkeeper.
I mean, that's a good draw, but the Drown the Lock was a better draw, so that's taken care of.
Wow. Edgewall Innkeeper is going to get countered by Drown and all of those Lovestruck Beasts. Oh, the poor sad beast has to stay home. But meanwhile, both of the other creatures crash into the red zone. And here's a judgment call now for Louis. He really loved to get this Merfolk Wind Robber rolling and really not like to die to a stomp here, but he's going to take the risk and it pays off.
All right. Well, I guess you could argue that Stomp was going to be good either way, right? Because Stomp can just finish off Luris or it finishes off the face. So Stomp is going to be an issue no matter what on that particular turn. But now it's an issue for future turns as well. So that's why I'm a little bit surprised with that particular game action. But it is what it is. He's at 2.
Yeah, Louis probably correctly deduced that if there was a Stomp, it just would have killed Dolores anyway. So... but there's Bone Crusher off the top for Gavin Thompson. Alpha Frog jumping over to the next lily pad here. And it's going to be able to fire that one Stomp upstairs.
I know you have.
Oh, and Louis Samuel Deltour just has to shake his head. But Gavin Thompson's not shaking his head. He's rubbing his hands together. He is ready to rumble. Game number 1 going to Gavin Thompson.
Not a bad draw there for Rippy Longstocking. Well done, Gavin Thompson. Just ripping off a Bone Crusher Giant. That is nice. So I was pro Gruul.
Yeah.
Now Cloythus is coming in. So how do you think I feel?
I think you feel even better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because this card is a nightmare. There's also a copy of Phoenix of Ash and 2 copies of Ox of Agonis. So Gavin Thompson has come ready here for the Dimir Rogues matchup. And I love the cards he's bringing after sideboard.
A couple of sweepers added to the deck, 3 of them for Louis Samuel Deltour. How big of a factor are those going to be? It's got an extinction event, a couple of crippling fear.
Yeah, I mean, there's some decent cards there, but I don't think they're that impactful, I guess I would say.
Okay.
They're fine.
Yeah. I mean, they do kill 1/1s, which is apparently the name of the game. By the way, that line of play worked out for Louis Samuel. You know, those Love Struck beasts, if they were attacking at any point, the game would have been over turns ago. Yeah. Kind of interesting.
Or even the 1/1s attacking would have been a pain,
yeah,
right? Like just kind of going
really
wide. So if you kill all the 5/5s, it's like, okay, but all the 1/1s would have just been kind of an annoying issue. So we're seeing this game here from Deltour, a much different draw. Like we're seeing a more, I guess I'll call it more traditional rogues draw because it actually involves rogues as opposed to rune crabs and lures. So this is one of those times where you see this deck maybe take more of the aggro control role with Thieves Guild Enforcer getting a little larger, milling some more cards, and then resolving into the story ahead of schedule, as opposed to what we saw last game, which was him floundering around quite a bit.
Indeed. Gavin Thompson has brought himself back down to earth there. You saw he got very excited after the first game, and that's kind of the ups and downs of the level of play that the level of prizes and such that we're playing for here, is that you can't help yourself but to get excited even after a game win, but you also have to be able to dial that back down and focus. And you can see, taking a look at the camera there for Gavin, he is just that. He is dialed in.
Yeah, he's pretty locked in. And for Samuel Deltour, he was a little bit frustrated as not drawing a third land there, and instead drawing a copy, I believe a Merfolk Wind Robber, either that or Crippling Fear. Either way, it's not a third land. And so now you just have to kind of play the spells that you can play while you can play them. So here's a Soaring Thought Thief. We'll get a trigger here from the Thieves Guild Enforcer, mill a couple of cards, and Nox of Agonis is headed to the graveyard. That certainly is notable because that card's amazing in this matchup.
That's going to force Fire Prophecy here from Gavin Thompson. Doesn't want to chump block with his Sentinel. And that's going to go ahead and get rid of the Thieves Guild Enforcer, at least for now. Luris does have the ability to bring that back down the game. And here we go. The big 4-drop hitting the battlefield. Asika's Chariot for Gavin Thompson.
Yeah,
double Soaring Thought Thief. They're both 3/3s right now.
Brutal here for Samuel Deltour. Pardon me, just missing a land drop again, drawing a copy of Power Word Kill. Just going to play this Wind Robber. Well, that's that. By technicality, that is a land, Marshall.
It does count as a land drop. Here's Soaring Thought Thief. I mean, for a minute there, Louis Samuel had 9 power in the air, but he had to sacrifice his Wind Robber just to try to get the land drops going, which he did. Now he has Power Word Kill. I spoke too soon. He has Power Word Kill available.
Yes. No stroke just yet. It looks like Ox of Agonis is going to be escaped out of the graveyard. So going to slow down, or at least attempt to slow down these Soaring Thought Thieves a little bit, getting the big Ox out of here.
Man, heavy hitters here for Thompson. He has no chill. Look at that, into another Ox and an Embercleave.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the Asika's Chariot going to get fired up. That's going to be a nice target for Power Word Kill. And it's going to take it down before combat here. No copying of tokens. Only double green and maybe up to 1 red mana for Gavin Thompson. So we won't see Embercleave this turn regardless. But still, the cats add up quickly. That's one of the great things about the Asika's Chariot, is that it leaves behind the 2/2s, even if it gets killed. And even if you draw another one, you can just play it as 4 mana and make 2 2/2s, which, that does add up over time. And they chip in for 4. Down to 13 goes Deltour, who finds Drown in the lock.
I feel like every game that we've watched that involves Crippling Fear, it's lined up poorly against like literally every opponent. And this time it was like, if Deltour finds the 4th land on time,
would be good, right?
It would finally have been awesome, but he didn't draw a 4th land, so it doesn't get the opportunity to be what it's meant to be, which is basically kill all your stuff, keep my stuff, and sure, you've got a Love Struck piece left around, but you don't have a 1/1 to go alongside with it, and maybe I can race you.
This is it, by the way. This is kill you or get killed, because right now the Soaring Thought Thieves are lethal, assuming that Sentinel goes away somehow. And that means that Gavin Thompson may feel the pressure here that he needs to just go for it.
Yep.
All right, it's going to be Drown and Lock on a 1/1. Deltour has his game plan. That's going to effectively take out 2 attackers. Is he dead to Embercleave? Kind of yes by a lot, right?
Yeah, it is yes by a lot.
Not even close. He's already getting in for 10 here, but there it is. Embercleave going on.
Gavin.
And Gavin Thompson believes in the cleave. That's going to pick him up an upper semifinal victory, put him into the upper finals. Oh, no. Look at this. He's dancing up there.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly Carlton from the Fresh Prince, but we'll take it. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad.
Close enough for Gavin Thompson as he's going to knock Luis Deltour down to the lower bracket.